Good morning. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm Ellie. And boy, we had a really good weather show this morning. Karen, you're not going to believe what the dog did. She she wants behind my computer. She got behind there, turned around, ripped all the cords out of the back of the computer. Now my monitor don't work. So my extra one off to the side, it's usually right there. But no, it don't work this morning. So I gotta go. I don't know. I'm gonna take a look at it after the show. So, but Karen, you missed a really good bad bear story in the weather this morning. So if you didn't catch it, go on back and watch it. It's pretty funny. Bad bear. So it was pretty good. We found out that bears like Bush beer, not Budweiser. They like Bush. I wonder if the bear knows it's made in the same plant. Who knows? So it's election day. Now, hopefully, this don't get me in trouble. It's primary day voters in 7 states, and they're all heading to the polls. And we're looking at New Jersey, Mississippi, New Mexico, California, South Dakota, Montana, and Iowa. I think California is going to be interesting. Maybe because I'm from there. But there's a lot of seats open in California, and if it's a red wave of votes, I think they're in for a lot of trouble because California is one of the biggest states for, I believe, the electorals. So, um, Mary, did you like that bear story? I was telling Karen she's got to go back and watch it. Uh, I think she'd get a good laugh out of it. If you guys are down this morning, go watch the bear story, Bad Bear. So the the White House is in a buzz this morning. Even though they're looking at skyrocketing inflation and a crisis, um, I was right about the minus numbers. They have his approval rating at about 30%. But when you start looking at the numbers for his approval rating on how the country's going, it's a minus 26. And that was by CNN last night. I laughed till I cried on that one. But they're in a buzz this morning, folks. The administration's so-called economic success, they say. There's a lot to brag about. Oh, yeah. A lot of excitement at the White House. It's interesting because officials are rolling out a plan for the president using the Defense Production Act to build solar panels and to install installation as part of a long-term climate agenda. But as for the short term, people at the pump are feeling it's getting hit hard. It's over 5 and over 6 in some of all of the Democrat states got the highest gas prices ever in history. So what he tweeted about was let's see. He basically says that this country is the way he has run his country has been very robust. Who knows? He says there's a good green future happening, even though his ratings are low. Um, of course, we're looking at. Um, let's see if I can find his exact quote. Anyway, we haven't really had a defense production bill since the 1950s, and we were at the state of war. And so this was a state of peace after World War II, so quickly for the Korean War, they said. And the emergency is something that the country needs to look at right now. And so he's going to force competing companies to work together to make more solar panels. I think this is a kiss up to the left that they want this Green New Deal thing, and I don't think that Manchin agreed with Schumer. Schumer was trying to talk him into the Green New Deal again, and passing this $1 trillion package again. But they said he walked away. He just walked away, shaking his head. So, in fact, what I got from the gals at the Capitol, they were in a room for a pretty long time, and they heard the door open fast. Uh, they think some of them say they slammed it, the others say no, he just shut it hard, and shook his head and walked down the hall. So, good morning to Susan and Linda and yeah, Karen, go watch the bear story. That'll make you laugh. So um, they're still looking at this Green New Deal and see what got this was somebody was asking Biden about gas prices, and he threw in, well, we're going to pass this in emergency bill that's going to make solar panels. And the look on the reporter's face, it was priceless. It was like, um, okay, I mean, that's like apples and oranges there. Mary, did you see the clip on that where the reporter asks him about that? And um, he's not worried about baby formula. That's not the emergency in the country. It's solar panels. It's solar panels. So um, let's see. But not only that, um, they did the same thing during the Obama years because I thought I remembered it. So I went and I looked. And they did a big push for solar panels for a company called Solyndra. And it turned out that they lost about $500 million on it. So, you know, he is tanking at the polls. He's tanking with African Americans, the Latinos. With us white people. Even the racist people don't like him now. So he's completely ignoring the inflationary spiral at this point. And we had Yellen come out and say, you know, uh, this is, she was wrong. She was very wrong. And, they tried to um, put a little band aid on her and try to make it sound like it wasn't really that bad. But, there's her and about four other economists now that have said they were wrong on this. And it's his economists, not ours. So it's looking good that we have a disagreement amongst his advisors. Not only that, but there are fights. They're not getting along. The staff members aren't getting along in the White House. Staff members aren't getting along with senators in Congress at the Capitol. Get this. Oh, this was really not cool, but kind of interesting. Um, Last week, there was supposedly, and they couldn't tell me which one it was because they couldn't get close enough because security showed up. There was another cat fight in one of the congressman's offices between aides. Uh, I mean, this is getting rowdy. Thank goodness they haven't come at us yet. Um, anyway, uh, let me pull this back up. But all of us are getting frustrated. There's the crime is so high, and there. Did you guys, if you've seen how many stories are about shootings now? What happened to the media um, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? They didn't want to even show it. Now they're showing it, showing it, showing it, showing it, and it's only, folks, to do away with the Second Amendment. If they show you, oh, there's all these gun uh, shootings and mass shootings, and they're even calling gangs shooting people now mass shootings, which they wouldn't even recognize it years ago. All they're doing is they're trying to show the people there is so many guns that they have to do something with the Second Amendment. So you don't be. They're being stupid on this. They're really. It's not right. And then Adams came out And it surprised me. It almost sounded like the old Adams. And he's saying that um, the gangs and the people that are doing the ones with the guns in New York City, they just laugh at these laws. They don't care about the laws, just like I've been saying. He said more gunfire in the great city of New York. He said the bad guys aren't not taking you seriously, and the system is turned into the laughing stock of the country. And he said um, basically after they um, after a shooting and after the arrest, they're just being let go, and they just go on to another shooting. And people no longer believes that you can just live peacefully in the city anymore. No one takes criminal justice seriously, and the bad guys no longer believe that you're even taking criminal justice seriously, or the criminal justice system seriously. It's a laughing stock of the entire country. Now, um, there is something that I found over the weekend that really interested me. Mary, I don't know if you can um, kind of spread this around. There's an old law that might be able to help us. It's a 1951 law executive, um, and it says number 8. Um, And what it is it gives the authority of the governor to have anyone there that's non foreign or a foreign national, they have to, or illegal, they must register with the state before they step into the state or think they can even be homeless in the state. They have to register with the state. Uh, I'm wondering if this is what we can use to make them have to register or leave. And what they're saying is either register or we take them back to the border. And I think New York might be going to try to use this. So if you look into it and see if this law will actually start working for some of these other states, we might be able to stop the illegals and the migrants from being shipped to all these different states. But this came out of New York, and what's her name? Gretmeyer. You see what her name is? If I got it. Nope, I don't have it. But the governor is the one that's going to try and use this, and for her state. Um, wow, that'd be something if it works. If this is actually a law in place, folks, we might be able to use this to boot them at least back to the border. But Mexico is now saying that they cannot handle the massive amount of close to 15,000 lined up ready to come into our country. And they said we must open the border. And I'm like, oh no, they could just stay over there, ship them back. Mexico can get their own little military and ship them back to through Panama. But they're saying that we must open our borders because it's causing chaos and crime and just basically chaos on the border, all the way down to quite a few cities that they're waiting to get in at. So it's never going to happen. Yeah, well, you got to have faith, Karen. You got to have high hopes. What is it? That song, High Hopes? Um, apple pie in the sky hopes. Come on, eat some apple pie and you'll feel better. I think that's what that song was about, high hopes. Uh, yeah, where's our military? Yeah, well, our military is standing on the border over there in Ukraine, figuring out if they're going to fight or not. Uh, Kyle Rittenhouse. Um, if you guys knew, he's going to try to go after those that it wronged him during his trial, and he does have a case. And he said the victory last week of Johnny Depp plus Sandman case has fueled and has inspired him to file a lawsuit. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse employs the very same attorney that went after a host of media from Washington Post and New York Times and CNN. Now, he's using the same attorney as Sandman is. And something like this came to public figure when he involved himself with Kenosha. And whoever he sues, whether it's Facebook, media organization, he could. And that's what he was claiming on, I believe it was Tucker last night. He said this is a media organization acted with a malice and reckless disregard for the truth. He said that he could spend the next 3 minutes on the Tucker show last night. He said he could play some clips, but what difference is it going to make? He said they did it. They were quite clearly knew what they were talking about. They mentioned his name, and he says it's reckless disregard from the truth. And numerous of dozens of media figures who couldn't even be sued individually. And so that's what he's going to do. He's going to go after reckless and disregard for the truth. And he said he's unable to get a job. He said this is just malice 101. He said what they did to Sandman, his lawyer said what they did to Sandman was really wrong. But what they did to Kyle Rittenhouse went above wrong. And they knew what they were saying. They understood, and they said it. And they were very vicious. So Kyle Rittenhouse he's an armed teenage vigilante, they say, and that he's going to go after. And he said, Sandman even said he would be by my side the whole time. So we'll have to see what happens. This isn't right. The media needs to learn that they can't do this. They're supposed to be independent. They're supposed to be not look at one side or the other. But as we know, they're not that. They're on the side of the Democrats, and whatever the Democrats want, they say. All right. So fighting continues in eastern Ukraine for the control of the industrial city of Severe or Donetsk. The situation is now changing by the hour, with its troops were heavily outnumbered by Russian forces. Now the Ukrainian defends Severe Donetsk, and even though Moscow controls 70% of the city, they're thinking that they're going to go after Kyiv again. Ukrainian counterattacks have sent them pushed back Russian soldiers with a fair street fighting that was reported over the weekend. But the larger cities, Ukraine basically does not have any control over. And now they're claiming that the numbers of Russian and military equipment has increased and increasing every day. And they just can't see how much more they can go on. Ukraine's defense ministry also said that Russia was throwing troops and equipment into its drive to capture Donetsk and Donbass region of Ukraine, which is partly held by separatist proxies since 2014. Ukraine's defense ministry also said that Monday that Russian forces were advancing towards Slovenia, which lies about 85 miles west of Donbass. And also the efforts were underway to evacuate people from several towns, including the Slovenes, about 24,000 residents. Meanwhile, Monday's foreign ministry said it slapped personal sanctions to 61 U.S. officials, including the Treasury secretaries, leading defense and media executives, and it said it was in retaliation for constantly expanding U.S. sanctions. So Putin warns well over 100 days since the war began, Ukraine, uh, Ukraine and Russian presidents have still not went to the negotiating table. And Putin has issued a new threat and warned that Moscow would strike a new target if the West supplied Kyiv with more long range missiles. And the ominous statement came hours after several explosions rocked the capital of Kyiv for the first time in over a month. Russia said it hit tons of supplied by European countries, and that a railway repair plant has been destroyed. And so what it's done is it's uh, plunged Putin into the lead of controlling most of the cities at this point, and states that he has claimed he wanted under Minsk. Most recently, the United States announced that it was sending high mobility artillery rocket system, which fires position guided rockets that can hit targets up to almost 80 miles away, much farther than the firepower Ukraine has currently had. The White House said they agreed to provide these advanced weapons only after security insurance was from Kyiv, and that it would not be able to attack targets inside Russia. Britain, too, has said the same thing. They will send the artillery to Ukraine and handful of truck M270 multiple rocket systems that can hit targets 80 to 90 miles away. And they also say that they cannot strike inside Russia. So I think, um, both, we've had both countries say that they can't strike Russia. And that's odd because you would think that had been firing into Russia all this time, but no, they're firing inside the cities in Ukraine that are being controlled. The industrial city, which is located in Luhansk region of Donbass, has been center stage for fighting. And according to the region, Governor Severo of Donetsk is more or less divided in half, about 15,000 people, and that remain in the city, but the other half is left. I believe there was more when listed. Um, so the current focus of Russia's advances in another development, or Donbass is currently the focus of Russia's advances. In another development, Russia General Major Roman Kutsevzov was killed in fighting in Donbass region, adding a string of high-ranking military casualties sustained by Moscow. Um, a new report suggests that China is now planning to build a secret naval base in Cambodia as Beijing sets to expand its military footprint in South China Sea. The new base, which has been denied both by Beijing and Cambodia, will occupy section of Cambodia Rim Naval Base on the Gulf of Thailand. And its construction is set to begin within days. Jinping would like this done and done fast. And when complete, will be China's second known military outpost abroad after a facility in Djibouti that opened in 2017, increasing Beijing's presence both around the Horn of Africa and into the Indian Ocean. This is not the first time there have been reports of such naval base back. Uh, in 2019, the Wall Street Journal had reported that China had signed a secret agreement to allow its military to use the base, and the report was dismissed by the Cambodian Prime Minister as fake. Now, a news Chinese official is now admitted the Washington Post that portion of the base will be used by the Chinese military, and the official said it wasn't an exclusive used by the military, but it would be used by scientists, and also officials also said China would not be involved in any activities, on the Cambodian portion of the base. Williams in here. Do you think they're just gonna sit pretty and bring in their scientists and that'll be it? Uh, or you think they're going to go get that portion of that base they want? So it's also noted the two governments have taken great pain to make the presence of the present mask, um, and the present pardon made a mark, but the presence of the Chinese military with China military personnel and the base either wearing a Cambodian army uniform or plain clothes. So these unnamed officials uh, are now in a Cambodian army or military uniforms. It's not even China. And they said that it would, according to Cambodia, they do not like this. They do not approve of it because it would confuse the people in the country. Um, China, Australia, Jinping is bad news, not just for China, but the rest of the world. His domestic troubles will dictate his response overseas and the fear that it might lead to unintended consequences, they said, and the risk of conflict. The Pacific recently, China pursued a security agreement in 10 Pacific islands. And, one was Cambodia, and looks like they're going to be having a base on there. They wanted a deal of a deal, but it fell through, and China failed. Small Pacific nations rejected his proposals. And he was humiliated, they say, and instead of backing out, they're doubling down. Recently, there's a dangerous face-off between the militaries of China and Australia. And they had sent surveillance craft to the South China Sea, which, by the way, is a routine affair. They do it all the time, but this time it's fighter jets and aircraft intercepted the Australian plane, and it executed a dangerous maneuver. The Chinese plane released pieces of aluminum that got sucked into the plane of the Australian planes. Oh, wow. It was confirmed that on the 26th that the RAP P-8 maritime surveillance aircraft was intercepted by Chinese J-16 fighter aircraft. And it's routine maritime surveillance activity in international airspace in the South China Sea. And the intercept resulted in a dangerous maneuver, and it posed a threat to the P-8 aircraft and its crew. The Australian government has raised concerns about the incident. Chinese government, the incident happened just a few weeks ago, but the details have just recently been made public as of yesterday. Australia is calling this dangerous act of aggression, and it is. And the lives of Australian crew were put at risk. Thankfully, no one was hurt. William, have they done that before? If he's where they have thrown like aluminum out to hit planes behind them. I for some reason I remember this being a military thing that I don't know if our country does it, but this is that really struck me odd. China, they're blaming the other side. China will never allow any country to violate its own freedom and security under the banner of liberty. They don't believe in liberty. Come on now. Navigation and endangered peace, stability. And they, in South China Sea, they urge Australia to respect China's national security interests with national security interests. China never admits that they make mistakes, and they don't want to take their eye off the Pacific. So, of course, they're going to come up with anything that they can do to attack, but then claim innocence, it says. So, this is, William, maybe we ought to do a little bit on some of this stuff they throw out the back. I've never, I thought I heard about it, but I just couldn't come up with a time that, I actually knew of. Um, there is a summit that's going on in Mexico, um, and they want Biden to appear. And they're planning to exclude certain countries that are in Latin America due to their human rights records. And that includes Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba. And now Mexico has to look at it's really not a productive to have a summit with of the Americas when certain countries excluded, and it's the Americas, they said, that excluded these countries. Now, what I got out of that, why Venezuela? I thought we were going to get gas from them. So obviously, just in this last week or two, Venezuela has upset not Putin, Biden. So we're going to have to see what's up. Um, he's saying that they won't attend because it doesn't absolutely think that they have the right to be there. Organizers saying that there will be a representative from these nations, and including Mexico. But obviously, the leader is not there. It does not send a signal that they're not interested enough. They just weren't invited. This summit's supposed to be in LA. So we didn't invite Mexico. We didn't invite Venezuela or Cuba. And they are, Venezuela is a country that the United States said is willing to start open oil talks because of certain embargoes over the oil. So they didn't understand why the president would not want to be willing to speak with Venezuela. So the other thing might be Nicolas Maduro, uh, who's currently under indictment from the Department of Justice. And I think that's what stopped Biden on this. I think when these reports were coming out, he decided he better not let them come to their little summit. Um, so that's basically what this summit. Um, they're going to have it in LA, and in many countries around South America are going to be there. There's certain um, countries that aren't invited, but the rest are, and it's to build a better. Um, um, it's to build a better relations with these countries. Now, not only that, but the Saudis have been working on letting some of the gas go or the oil go. And so now they said not so much for the United States, but everywhere else. And Africa and some of the southern South American countries in Cuba and Haiti and all of them are saying due to no gas and no electric, they have no choice but to come to the United States and stand in line at the border. So, boy, um, Mary, I don't know if you heard this. There's another bizarre fire. Tens and thousands of chicken killed in a massive farm fire. This was, it might be, well, it was dated yesterday. This is in Northwest Arkansas. I wonder if it was Tyson. I didn't even see that. I didn't see it was in Arkansas. I'll have to look into that. Um, this would be town made of about 40,000, maybe more. Not many people, but they have thousands of birds. Yeah, we got some of the biggest chicken plants here in Arkansas, one being Tyson. Um, they have thousands of birds housed in large chicken growing facilities. Um, they said they couldn't imagine what it'd be like for a 600-foot structure burned while full of birds. According to the plant manager, they weren't able to get all the chickens out or any of the eggs, and it's just killed tens and thousands of chickens. The blaze occurred at the building. Okay, here we go. Forsman Farms at Howard Lake. I haven't heard of that one before. So the Howard Lake Formsman Farms, no one was injured, but they were gratefully first responders were able to quickly put out the fire. Unfortunately, the chickens were lost due to the fire. They are looking at what happened. It appears to be a confined to a single structure. Of course, they're looking what's going on to this. They said um, the feds are still claiming false that accidents and fires in food processing plants were not intentionally created food shortages, and nor was it considered uh, a serial fires. They think that this is done by individual people that are just doing copycats. So, wow. Yeah, again, another one. Mary had one over the weekend. So it's like every few days there's more and more being burned down. That's just crazy. Um, Another judge, but this one was found zip tied to a chair and executed. Authorities suspect that it was part of a larger hit list. And so this is another one. The last one. Um, oh, I guess I better get on the right one. This came out yesterday. It was a Wisconsin judge this time. It was found in his home Friday. Um, it sounds like the same one, though. Um, they're claiming it was a self inflicted gunshot wound to the head. So, so how do you zip tie yourself? Huh? This sounds like the same one, but it sounds like an update. He said that it doesn't say they caught anybody, though. This must be a copycat killing. This is another one, I guess. Um, they said, but there's another hit list, and it was for the same people, just a different judge, in the same way, same killings. It's not releasing the judge's name though. They just said that, privacy to the family and still notifying family members. And it didn't say they caught anybody. No one's been caught on this one. So they're claiming this is a copycat killing of another judge. So wow. I guess we're going to start seeing judges get caught up in this. Um, if this is a copycat, he might go on to do another one, or it just starts copycat people with guns that just aren't mentally stable to go out and do this. So let's move on. Uh, okay, John Deere. It's been here forever. John Deere Iowa tractor cab assembly operation. They're done with the United States, and they're going to be going to Mexico. John Deere is one of the oldest manufacturers. Has announced it's moving some of its operations to Waterloo, Ohio, to Mexico, leaving hundreds of jobs of Americans in doubt. The company is reported preparing um, to end tractor operations. And they said they can find cheaper products and lower wages in Mexico. So they'll be moving and cease to operate here in the States after 2024. And the people there don't know where they're going to go. There's just no work. And they plan to bring new product programs to their operations. And so we'll just have to wait and see on this. But yeah, so now we're starting to see what we did during Obama, where a lot of these manufacturers just went to another country because they just couldn't afford the wages, and they couldn't afford the what it takes to be able to keep their businesses afloat with the bills that come with the building. So, oh boy. Um, EU and even now the United States is looking at the new climate charge tax will be exempt to private jets and planes. Well, there you go. Uh, they're not going to let us fly commercial flights, but they're going to, these millionaires and zillionaires that they all complain about are going to be able to tax exempt their own planes and possibly even get tax free gas. Uh, boy, I tell you, this is. Um, Now there is a new study out, and this is even by the Green New Deal. Now they have looked at their Green New Deal. They're starting to see that about 70% of its energy from the fossil fuels go to net zero over the next 20 years. That would basically be catastrophic to tens and millions of jobs. But the problem is the the numbers of what they need to go all in on batteries is harming not only the surrounding area, but making people sick. Now, there are 34 million metric tons of copper, 40 million tons of lead, 50 million tons of zinc, 162 million tons of aluminum, and 4.8 billions of iron. Uh, and these are for the windmills, the solar panel, electric batteries, and cars and trucks. And these aren't exactly biodegradable like they have been claiming under the new Green Deal. The scientists have now moved forward in saying that this is um, this prominent energy of toxic pollutants will be 100 times larger than any nuclear waste storage, and they're worried about it. Not only that, but the plastics. And if they want to talk plastic straws being a horrible issue, that they need to be looking at the resources of copper, lead, magnesium, and precious metals. But ironically, that it's the Greens that want to shut down some of the mines uh, they think it's to cause a shortage on these and to make it look like they can't get it. So they said beware. This is basically um, they're rebelling against these solar panels because they say that the solar panels just aren't worth it, and um, they did all kinds of study on like severe weather that would possibly hit these panels. They did hail, they did hammers for hail. I don't know what the hammer things was. Rain. The thing that took them out was wind over 50 miles an hour or a tornado. So they said now they might have to look and reevaluate how they place these out. So especially now that Biden is going to be looking in increasing the production of the solar uh, plants or solar panels. So, wow. All right. Biden, and boy, I fought so hard for this, is wanting to, if they don't link the LGBTQ to their school websites, then they aren't going to let low income kids have their lunches or breakfast. And folks, it takes a long time to get this passed, and it really angers me because now I got to get back over to the schools and um, work with the PTO and the school administrators to get this stopped, because when Michelle Obama was in charge of the schools, she took away their right to charge, to where you can go and if you lost your money or didn't have it, you could charge, but you were only allowed 3 charges in a quarter. So if you used them up, then they couldn't give you a meal. But for the most part, she wanted to do away with low income because she said it was costing too much money to the taxpayers. Now they want to cut it out if they don't uh, post LGBTQ news on their webpage. Why would we want that? And get this, the tranny library things, they took the kids to a bar. and we're like half naked. Um, what's wrong with these people? Ugh. Um, there was a huge mistake in the 2020 census, and it favored the Democrat Party. Um, and they said as they tallied it up, they just realized when they were looking at the um, numbers stats for each of the cities, there was a whole bunch of extras. And they said they shouldn't have been there. They said they might have to go out and recanvass, but they're thinking that they might just wait till the next election. The Democrats are okay with that decision. The GOP said no, they need to get out there and recount. Um, um, The Victims of Communism Museum is set to open in Washington, D.C., June 13. The people that are putting this up and promote it said that a communism part needs to be put into our museums. And it's to favor communism, not put it down. A lot of disabled vets and veterans and even active military are very upset at this choice that they've made. And, that going along with Joe Biden ignored D-Day yesterday. If you didn't realize, yesterday was January 6th, it was D-Day, a day to think about what happened on D-Day. Maybe me and William will bring something up on it tomorrow night for the show. Um, Swedish police, and it's not just Swedish police, but it's the country itself, as well as Finland and others, want the Biden administration to sign something due to the concern of Ukrainian weapons might end up with the wrong guys when the United States pulls out, like they did to Iraq and Afghanistan, it said. So they're very concerned, and they want the United States to sign something that will claim they will not leave weapons, military equipment, and they will take it all whether it works or not. So, wow, we. Um, I have been, boy, this is something. I have been talking with some of these college students for a while, a couple years, and what amazes me with them is their thought plan. And so I finally got to sit down with a few, and these were 25 to, I believe, 30, 40-year olds. And they said, one of the things that struck me odd was, they said, do you realize that this country's been socialist since the 30s and 40s? I said, what? No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. Do you even know what socialist is? And they're like, no, no, no. You got to listen, hear me out on this. I was like, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Just feed it to me. I want to know. And they said Roosevelt was a socialist. So if he's a socialist, that brought socialists into the country and turned um, the country socialist. And it's been that ever since. And I said, where'd you get this? And they said, in the books. And I said, what books? And they said, what they're being taught in college. And I go, do you know what a socialist is? They said, yeah. It's socialist because, and you guys, hold on, you guys hope you're sitting down. You might even have to take a drink of coffee and take a bite of donut for this one. Boy, they said that Social Security and welfare, that is socialist, what makes this country great. And I said, that doesn't make it socialist, though. Yeah, it does. I said, what? Are you kidding me? And I said, that's not the way I learned growing up, taking government and social economics and those civics. And they said, they were all just like, oh, it's because your history is wrong. You were taught wrong. And that's what we have discovered, us and the professors. Our new history is the correct history. And I was like, no, you guys can't just say that. And they said, yeah, we tore down the statues because of your history being wrong. And what's being taught in the colleges and schools right now um, is wrong. Or I said it was wrong. And they said, you guys were taught so wrong in the 70s, going into the 80s, that now we have to correct history and put it in and make sure that you guys know that between you and the founding fathers, that you were wrong about history. And I said, yeah, because socialism has been around for a long time. And they said, yeah, see, so we're socialist, and now we have to I have to get rid of the books. I go, what? You're going to burn our history books? And they said, we have to get rid of them. And I said, okay, so tell me what socialism is. And they said, okay, and they're all pulling out their phones. They're looking through their phones, and they read it, and it was about the programs that are put in for social easement. I said, that's it? I said, where'd you get that? Webster Dictionary. That's what the professors are telling them to use to explain it. So they they're basically wanting to do away with the history. What got me was when they were talking that, um, yeah, so they're confused. They're really confused. And um, they said that inflation is something that happens. Oh boy, wait till you guys hear all this. And I said, what do you mean it just happens? And they said, yeah. And I go, we can't be printing money. They said, why? I said, because you have to back it by something. They said, no, you don't. And I go, yeah, you do. You have to back it with gold standard. They go, oh, we're not going to do that no more. See, because it's the money goes out when you spend it and it mixes around, they said. And it goes here and it goes there and it goes over to this place and that place from your pocket to the store and it mixes around. And I said, okay, but you still have to have gold back dollar. No, no, no. We could just print as much as we want. I go, isn't that monopoly money? Oh boy, they got mad at me. They said, no, 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 don't be stupid. I said, well, I'm not being stupid, and I got called quite a bit of names. But I took it. I took it like a big girl and just said, okay, so explain this to me. Um, yeah, I hope you guys are listening to this because this is how we got to fight them. We got to teach them better. We got to teach these people right. And they said that inflation, um, that there is none, that this is just a normal process that happens, that it's been happening since the Great Depression, that every year we have to add to it in order and spend in order to keep inflation going. I said, you want inflation? And they said, well, yeah, because it makes the country a lot stronger. And I'm like, where the heck are you guys getting this stuff? And I said, can you show me something that says this is so? Well, they were pulling up videos of these weird professors that were talking utter nonsense to me. And I said, I'm taking journalist classes and I'm not learning none of this. So where are you guys getting this from? And I said, so what colleges are you guys going to? And every single one of these guys were in a community college, and not the nice ones. It was all community colleges. And not only that, but they're told that it's okay that you fail because the longer you're in college, the more knowledgeable you become. And 5 to 10 years of college is really good for somebody because when they get out, then they're very knowledgeable and that they can go into any high paid spot and they and demand they get the job and it's supposed to be given to them. And you don't go in and demand jobs. You guys come in and demand job from me, I'm going to kick you right back out the door. uh, I like that right there. Here, look at that. I would not spend a dime to send a kid to college today. With this, with what they're learning, um, basically saying that what we learned. Now, there might be some young guys in here listening. If this is what you believe, folks, we need to teach you some history, and the right way, because it's what happened during those years that made our country very great. And this is what I told these young guys. And I said, and they go, "Oh, you're a Trump lover." I go, I didn't even mention Trump, guys. Now, come on. It's what we have done over time that's made this country great. It's the wars that we've done. Oh, they don't want no wars. Um, I said, "You don't want no wars, and what are you going to do?" And they said, "Oh, we just need to disband the military, and hopefully this is what we're going to do." I go, "Why would you disband the military?" And they said, "Because they don't, it's peace. And if we disband it, then other countries will see that we have respected their wishes and we no longer have a military to fight with, and it'll be world peace." Okay. Also, to let everybody out of the jails and prisons. This was another one. And I said, "Why the heck would you do that? Now crime rate's high." No, they said GOP, it's a lie. There is no crime rate in America. That it is a falsity narrative by the GOP. And they said that the GOP has been nothing but fantasy and smoke. And I was like, so you don't think that but you got to remember we're in Arkansas, okay? I said, "So you don't think there's crime in Chicago?" "Nope, nope. That's a fantasy of you and your GOP." And I went, "No, there's people being killed." And they said, "No, that's all propaganda." And I said, "What about these school shootings?" And they said, "Oh, that's entertainment." Entertainment? What? That's not entertainment. And they said, "Yeah, because it's fake." And I said, "You realize there's people that are getting guns and shooting one another?" And they said, "Oh, it's just all fantasy. It's propaganda pushed by the GOP." So you guys, you could see where these guys are going. Print money because it's okay, and that if the deficit hasn't blown up yet, it never will. Um, and they said that we should have the right to high taxes. Uh, a right to high taxes? Well, now, why do you want high taxes, guys? And they said, because what it does is it pays for the free medical and welfare and food. So you can walk into the grocery store and pick things up off the shelf and it'll be for free. And that would be what the high taxes were for. And I go, "So you're willing to get a quarter in your check?" And they said, "No, we would be on the government assistance." And I said, "Oh, so you're not going to work?" And they said, "Well, no, because we do away with all the jobs in the United States, and then the government can come in, and then we will be able to do what we want and live free because we'll get that check." And then it was the only people left to pay these high taxes would be the greedy oligarchs. Folks, these are some very messed up and confused kids. And the more I listened to them, I don't know. I didn't know whether just to laugh in their face. Um, and when I asked them where they got it from, they would bring up videos, and it was really painful to listen to these videos of these professors that are writing on those whiteboards with the markers. And I was reading some of the stuff that was put on these boards, and it's what these kids were saying. And this is very, very sad that it has come to this. And we have got to do something because and I said, "Is this part of CRT?" And they said, "What's that?" And I said, "Critical race theory, part of that, or with the teachers and all that." And they said, "Oh, no, no, but we should have." What they want is to have a class where they actually watch and participate in orgies. And I went, oh, good grief, you guys. Good grief. What do you tell them? But this is how lost this generation is. And these are kids in college in between ages of like 18 or to up to 35. And they said it's easier to live with mom and dad because then they could share and it would be easier on rent for them. No, they're living off their folks. Um, so yeah, um, this is what they're thinking. This is their critical thinking, is what they called it. Not only that, but they want communism. They want uh, one party um, and one ruler. They want the new world order. Um, they said it would be the best thing to do. They don't want no borders. They don't want no borders. Um, that's basically what they were saying, and I said, this is what got me more than anything. Is I said, that's more than socialism. That's Marxism to communism. And they said, oh, we like Marxism. That Marxism's good for the country. Oh boy. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do, folks. If you got nieces and nephews these ages, it's time for us and these parents, the grandparents, aunts and uncles. We need to sit these kids down and have a talk. Quit letting them just come and go and come and go. You bring them home from college if you got to, but we got to have a serious talk with these kids. Something is very wrong, uh, almost a scream for help. And as much as I tried to tell them, the truth, they just wouldn't have it. They said, "I'm listening to propaganda, and I'm a Trump lover, and I'm a GOP corruptionist." And it was like, wow. And all cops are bad. All cops are to be fired, all the jails to be emptied, the prisons to be emptied. And they said because um, we have had our chance to show that putting petty crimes like theft and stupid petty crimes, they said, we put them in jail for it. So now what they want to do is release everybody. I said, you realize there's going to be rapists on the street? No, there's not. I go, there's rapists in jails. Oh no, we're working on letting them all go so there wouldn't be rapists in the country. I said, just because you release them, they don't rape anymore? And they said, yes, that the longer they are out and free, that they will reform and won't rape again. And I said, and killers? Well, we better keep the killers in jails, they said, but not private owned. They got a problem with private owned prisons. They said they abuse, and the the state will put them in there and overload them, and there's not really that big of a crime problem, so there shouldn't be all the overcrowding. So what they're thinking is these private prisons are open and they don't have anybody in them because they're trying to cram all the prisoners together uh, to make their life miserable. And that now we just need to open them all up and let everybody out. So, wow, a lot to think on, huh? And I've been talking to these guys, trying to get them to tell me this stuff for a long time. And I've gotten bits and pieces and wrote it down. But when I was actually able to sit down and I had the book, I just started asking away. And they want to do away in euthanasia of anybody that is pro-life. They want to bring euthanasia back, like they said, and I mentioned this to you last week about Canada wanting to bring euthanasia in. But what they want to do is do that. And oh, this is the sickest part, folks, that if their parents keep punishing them the way they have over the years, that they will talk their parents into euthanasia, or they'll take them down there themselves and force it. I was like, oh my God, you guys, which one are you going to do this to your parents? Oh, none of us. No, we wouldn't do nothing like that, they said. But, people in California, I think it's a really cool idea. They're willing to try it. It's a really cool idea to kill your folks. I mean, one thing is turning your folks in like they were wanting them to do back in the 80s, because we're talking 80s and 90s kids. Uh, but to actually, wow, wow, sick, very sick. But that's pretty much what they've been telling me over the last few years. And I keep trying to get a hold of different kids in different areas, different places. I did Toad Suck. Oops. I've done a few restaurants where, I see a group of them and I go over and I sit and talk to them and see what their opinion is about the country and life in general. And this is what I've gotten over about the last year, because it really concerned me why they were so uh, wanting to hurt people. Now they're wanting to kill grandma and grandpa. Oh man, oh man. But we have got to, folks, have got to sit down with these kids and tell them that what they've been taught is wrong. Get them out of these colleges. And not to mention, why now they want to give free college. This is why. I heard it yesterday and today, and I thought, this is why they want to corrupt the rest of our kids. I don't even know if I want my kids in school at this point. I call them my kids; they're my grandkids. I got my youngest is fixing to start kindergarten. Do I want her to go to the tranny library where they take them to a bar and some of them are naked, and then they give them a pervert book to take home, and they're pervert color books, and they give them crayons to take home and color us in pretty fashions. Oh Lord, we got to do something about these schools. We got to stand up and say no. So, um, but that is it for today. And I'm so glad you all watch, subscribe, and follow. But we got to talk to our kids, folks. If not, if you're not going to be able to walk up to these kids on the street and change their minds, you're really not. They're going to get hostile and you could get hurt. So don't attempt it. But if you got friends or family that have kids in college in this age, it's time to sit down and have a talk. My mom told me, don't you dare be a communist. I mean, that was her big thing. And don't you watch out for them. And she said, them hippies, those are the ones that will be the troublemaker in the long runs. And they were actually the troublemakers out in California in the long run. So we got to talk to these kids. Oh, it basically had me foggy for hours on what do we do? What do we do? So, with that, folks, I'll let you go, and we will be back tomorrow morning. And then I think I'll get together with William a little later, maybe go over some of this, what we could teach the kids about socialism. I also want to know about that stuff you throw out at the back of airplanes that clog up other airplanes. But we'll have a good report for you. And like I said, I'll give William a call later today and get this all set up so we can have a wonderful show tomorrow night. And then I got some stuff. Um, um, I had some issues come up yesterday, and I don't want anybody to be concerned. I'm okay, but I'm going to have to move along with the Clinton corruption shows. We had Linda Ives die. Her sister died, and things are rolling really fast since the Sussman trial. And I need to get in and finish up this Clinton corruption with you guys, with the boys on the boys on on the tracks. There's a lot to it. It's going to take a lot of time to do this. So I'm gonna break it up as and make it as easy as possible for you to understand. So with that, we will see everyone tomorrow. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Get out and get your potatoes planted. You know, it's real easy. Judith and Linda, some of you ladies, you know, you just cut your little potato and you go put it in the dirt. Make sure your eyes are right on them. You know, let it ripen up a little bit and you'll have some potatoes this fall. We need to start thinking of prepping. Um, and potatoes is a good one to prep. And you know, you can dehydrate them and you can also can them. But we need to start looking at prepping where the food shortages are getting real. So, y'all take care, and we will see you tomorrow morning. And have a wonderful day. Bye bye, folks.